out here in Richmond at the J. Cutler Classic in Richmond, Virginia. Heading out for dinner. Jay's on the phone as usual. He's always on the phone.
Always business, bro.
It's always business. Always business. Always on the phone. Grab something to eat. And it's the first time you had the show out here. It looks like it's going to be a staple now from now on out here in Richmond. So we'll see. But interested to see how the turnout's going to be tomorrow. Get some quality competitors already out there. But for now, it's time to chow down a little bit. What the fuck? Just get back into the room from having dinner with Jay. It's always good to catch up with him every time we can. But, you know, it was about a 3-hour drive here from Maryland. And I knew I had to pack some food for the day and stuff. So what I did was I got my ISO bag. And you can see it's empty right now, but I actually packed Quest bars in it, so you guys can check out what I do when I travel. And I actually packed protein powder. Of course, you got to bring a fork. Protein powder. This one has 2 scoops in it, and this one has 1 scoop in it. What I did was package baggies with 2 scoops and 1 scoop each, respectively for the protein. Respect that protein. So they can mix up drinks depending on if I needed 25 grams or 50 grams for the meal. Make sure I bring my water and stuff with me. And then I packed up my meals, which you can see in the refrigerator. So I have some chicken in here that I bought from Whole Foods. I got my rice that I made to take with me. So I got 3 servings of rice in there. Then I have my wraps from Nutrition Solutions that I brought. And then, of course, my ice packs and shit. So you got to plan ahead. So I knew I'd be like, 3 hours driving, so I probably need a meal when I was driving, which I did. I had one of the wraps while I was driving, which is kind of convenient. And then, I stopped and got a Red Bull because I was actually pretty fucking tired driving up here. But when I got here, I had my food ready to go. I have the refrigerator ready to go. I got a microwave. I usually try to book that stuff ahead when I travel. Super important to stay on your diet. I mean, I'm not competing right now, but I want to stay lean. The idea is to stay as lean as I possibly can and slowly add that 5 pounds of muscle back on. So I'm not fucking with my waistline at all, which I was told to maintain my waistline. But all the time, people, they're fucking, oh, Jerry, I can't this, I can't that, I got to do. No, you can plan ahead. You need to plan ahead, time management, all that shit comes into play with this stuff. And that's part of achieving your goals, whether it be lean, getting bigger, whatever. You got to get your shit done. I went out with Jay and them to eat, and I had a Southwest chicken salad or some shit like that at Chili's. So, you make the right choices. Could have had a fucking burger, could have had pizza, could have had fucking fries, could have had whatever, but try to make the better choices so that, keep that waistline, stay lean. So we're going to get up in the morning and go meet Jay for breakfast before we head over to the show. And hopefully, looks like a pretty good turnout, so we'll see what goes on tomorrow. It's time to shower and hit the hay. We're out. Well, I'm heading over to the J. Cutler Classic now. I just got done having breakfast with Jay and Victor. Victor works for Jay. He's a cool guy. You guys will probably see him at the Olympia if you're there, checking out the Cutler Athletics booth and stuff. But just want to take a second to talk about balance in the world. So we're sitting there having breakfast this morning. Jay, Victor, and I were talking about just all kinds of random shit and laughing and joking and having a good time. And I get a call from my mom at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, which is not a normal thing for my mom to be calling at that time. And it went to voicemail, so I had the ringer off. And when I listened to the voicemail, I found out that I needed to call home right away. My mom sounded very distressed. Let's fix this fucking camera angle. There's a lot of light in here. And as it turns out, that my grandfather, the one who I had just posted about the other day, who was doing his morning cardio on his exercise bike in the middle of the living room, passed away last night, or early this morning. And he succumbed to pneumonia, which he had battled and beaten, and the radiation that he had been having for his cancer obviously did a number on his immune system to where he couldn't fight it off anymore. He wasn't responding to any of the treatments, and he passed away, I think my mom said about 4:30 this morning. So I'm gonna go right now to the show and meet Jay there to film a segment before I actually leave early. I'm not gonna go back tonight. I'm gonna go home. So I'm kind of feeling a little, I don't know, a little out of sorts in one aspect. And the reason why I make these videos is so that people understand that we all go through this stuff. Everybody goes through this stuff. Everybody has a grandparent out there who's going to pass away. Everybody knows someone who's going to have cancer. I mean, everybody knows someone who's going to get a car crash. I mean, we all go through it. And you know, my grandfather, he was old. I mean, he outlived. And I'm probably gonna do a whole other video on him anyways. That's what I was planning on doing before he passed away, about, you know, how friggin' active and strong he was still at 95 years old. But you know, this shit happens. Like, part of me says he's in a better place now, and you know, everything's gonna be okay, and it's okay. He went peacefully, and he wasn't in any pain. And then the other half of me says, is selfish, is very selfish, and says, but what about Christmas? Because Christmas Eve at his house is what we have family tradition. What about Christmas? Like, it's not going to be the same. You know, like, that's a really selfish way to think. But it comes to mind. You know, what is it going to be like when I go to Rhode Island now? Whenever I go to Rhode Island, I would stop and visit my grandfather. You know, it's like one less visit that you have to do for a family member, but it's just going to be different now. So, we're going to go get this video filmed with Jay. I have actually some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to head back home and make arrangements to get back up to Rhode Island to lay my grandfather to rest. So, see you guys in a little bit. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. We're here at the Jay Cutler Classic in Richmond, Virginia, with four-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler. Jay, what's up, man?
Again.
Yeah, again. Good to see you. We had such a positive response from the IFYM video that we talked about, where he ate,
It's the truth.
he ate the candies that people freaked out. And we're gonna ask him some other stuff that's kind of controversial now. There's a big thing going around about pro bodybuilders, especially Mr. Olympias, shouldn't need a coach or a trainer. Now, how do you feel about that? Because you've had pretty much a coach, at least a diet coach, since you were like 18 with Chris Aceto, right?
Yeah, I mean, he wrote my first diet. I was actually about 6 months into training. I think I was introduced to Chris Aceto through Luzowick, who used to run American Muscle magazine on television. Yeah, he has the Muscle Manias, but he actually introduced me to Chris. At the time, Chris lived about 2 hours in Maine from me, so he kind of wrote my first diets and got me on track. It's funny because I always tell this story. When Chris came to see me, you know, Lou's like, oh, check out this kid, see what he looks like. We hear he's got big legs, he's got a lot of potential. So Chris came down to my Gold's Gym in Worcester, Mass. At the time, he was married to Laura Bell. And he took a look at me, and he was like, oh, you know, the kid looks pretty good, whatever. And then he put me on a diet and came back a few months later, and I remember he told me later, he says, he left there, and Lou says, how's he look? He's like, the kid's going to be Mr. Olympia someday. So it just goes to show, I mean, how much the nutrition part plays, you know, a huge role in building the physique. But I always used him, you know, as my guidance for the nutrition, and we didn't really talk as much about training. He would just tell me, you know, don't train too hard, or don't overtrain, because I tended to do that often. But I think most importantly, it was, you know, kind of doing the meal plans that worked best for my body. You know, I was eating a lot of pasta back then, and I was, you know, a huge carb eater.
Yeah,
everyone kind of
like
knows
1,000 grams a day.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, just like with the candy corn and all that stuff. I mean, it was, I was much more of a carbohydrate eater than a protein eater. So, and I was a huge red meat eater. That's why I was buying the cows on the you know, on the farms and stuff like that. And, you know, I tell those stories. And I used to buy, I used to buy 30 dozen eggs at a time, and I'd buy 140 pounds of chicken at a time. I really had a great setup living there, living in the countryside like I was, and then of course I moved to California. Things a little more difficult getting that kind of food, but I stayed working with Chris all the way up until, you know, I worked with Hani for my comeback year for a couple of years, and then of course I went back to Chris in my last year. But I just think what's happened is now the internet has spread the popularity of having the so-called gurus. And you know, people look at the gurus, they hear that word guru, and they think, oh, he's someone that's, you know, going to give them like a drug regimen or whatever. That's, you know, I hate that negative side of it, because it really doesn't give the right aspect. And these kids nowadays read the internet, that's what they think.
But they're more interested in finding out about drugs and nutrition.
Yeah, but that's not how it was. I mean, when we first started training, listen, it wasn't about even talked about or anything like that. The internet has spread that more rapidly. about the drug use, and you got these guys that, you know, honestly tell, oh, this is what I did, and they do these crazy amounts, and I think it's really wrong. It's the wrong aspect.
They're responsible there.
You know, but I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, bodybuilding's clean, and you know, the pros are clean, and this and that. But the truth is the pros are pros because they're good at what they do. That's why I stayed doing bodybuilding, because I was great at it, and that gave us a lot of motivation to be better. You know, people always ask me what motivated you. I mean, listen, the fans motivate you. Winning shows motivate you. But, I mean, it's the success, the continuous, you know, success that continues to do that stuff, to be able to build the muscle and make the improvements.
Right.
And that's what really gives us, you know, the edge to move forward and become the best we can absolutely be. So the guru thing and having the trainer.
You always have that extra eye, that because it's hard for you to look in the mirror and say, I look good. I remember there was a video that he was like looking at himself and he was like, oh yeah, I got like 15 more pounds to drop. And I'm watching it going, 15 more pounds where? But like, that was his eye. Like, he still had that 15 pounds to drop. Like, the average guy who started bodybuilding, you don't know how much more you have to drop. You think you're ready, you don't know. Like, not necessarily a guru, but someone that can look at you and say, you're ready, you're not ready, you need to drop 10 more pounds to...
And listen, it's a crapshoot a lot of times. I mean, I hate that people say, oh, that guy knows my body left. Listen, we're all going to fall in a certain circumstance. I never look the same for every Mr. Olympia. I never look the best, you know, that I probably ever could have looked for any show. The best, you know, up there, yes. But as far as the best of all time, I mean, I still think that I could have been a better Jay Cutler if I would have stayed home. I would have focused on training more and traveled less, focused less on business. But listen, man, this is my future. Now I'm off the stage. I'm doing great things. I'm still actively involved. I still talk to Chris Aceto every couple of days. And now I know he's over a lot more guys now. But I just think it's got kind of blown out of whack a little bit with, you know, having to hire this trainer. He's going to take me to promised land kind of thing.
Now, it's interesting you say about the you know, being the better bodybuilder that you could be. Now, do you think it's true that basically you're only going to hit your absolute peak like once? I mean, absolute, where people are like, this is the best version of you that you like.
Of course.
I mean, it's like, it seems like you're always chasing that one time. You don't even know it until the career's over.
It's all perception too. I mean, listen, the stage lighting is different. The quality of lineup is different. You know, I hear so many different aspects. Okay, Jay, you were better here. You know, 03 Ironman, you were better at the 09 Olympia, or 01 Olympia. I mean, you hear those things, but the truth is the physique was totally different in certain circumstances. And the truth is like I won 2 of those, and I lost, you know, to Ronnie that one year in 2001, which, you know, come on, I was competing against Ronnie Coleman at his prime. I mean, that was pretty much.
So what is your favorite look? What's the one you look at and you say, this is not my best, but my favorite?
I mean, 09 Olympia was pretty sharp. 03 Arnold was, Ironman was pretty sharp too. I mean, I could have been tighter, I wasn't as big. I think that was a little better. 09, I think I was still pushing the limits of my physique. I've been always 250, that was 254 for that show. You know, people think 06, I won the Olympia. I mean, I was 273 there. I was just, you know, I was a little too big, but that's what it took to beat Ronnie. You know, I liked a lot of my looks. I mean, I liked the 04 Arnold Classic, which everyone thought I should have lost. I was more streamlined. I liked it there. I liked the 13 look. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I liked 2013. Like, that was the funnest prep I ever had getting ready for a show, and the funnest stage presence I had. And, you know, it was really awesome to come back and be off the stage and feel like the crowd was behind me more than anyone else. I like a lot of looks.
Great, awesome. And we're not going to give out too much about it, but we want to say that there's a project Jay's working on. It'll be out soon. You guys keep a lookout for that on your Instagram and Facebook and stuff
YouTube,
like that.
Yeah, YouTube channel, Jay
awesome.
TV.
Jay, thanks for your time. It's a pleasure as always to see you, man. I'm Bios3, and I approve this message, and we're out.